All right, guys. So for the past 21 days, you have been reading through the Gospel of John. And by now, you have completely finished the Gospel of John. So my goal in under 4 minutes is to recap every single chapter of the Gospel of John. So I'm going to have to move fast. I've got some notes here, so you all bear with me for the next few minutes because we're going to recap every chapter of the Gospel of John. So John chapter 1. In John chapter 1, we learn that Christ is eternal. We hear testimony from John the Baptist about Jesus, and we see Jesus recruit his first disciples. In John chapter 2, we see Jesus turn water into wine. And we also see Jesus make a whip out of rope that he clears the temple with. He doesn't like what people are doing in God's temple, so he uses the whip to get them all out of the temple. In John chapter 3, we see Jesus meet a Pharisee named Nicodemus, and we see John the Baptist call Jesus the Son of God. In John chapter 4, we see Jesus talk to a Samaritan woman at a well, and then we see Jesus heal a government official's son. In John chapter 5, we see Jesus heal a man on the Sabbath, which makes the Pharisees really angry. And then we see Jesus claim that he is the Son of God. In John chapter 6, we see Jesus feed 5,000 people with only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Then we see Jesus walk on water, 2 incredible miracles in a row right there. Then we see Jesus claim to be the bread of life. In John chapter 7, Jesus teaches at the temple, and he promises the Holy Spirit to all those who believe in him. John chapter 8, Jesus saves a woman caught in adultery. The Pharisees bring this woman to Jesus. They want to stone her, and Jesus says, okay, whichever one of you hasn't sinned can throw the first stone. All the Pharisees then walk away. So Jesus saves this woman caught in adultery, and then he talks about salvation. In John chapter 9, Jesus heals a blind man, and then he calls out the Pharisees and says that they are spiritually blind. In John chapter 10, Jesus says that he is the shepherd and we are the sheep. In John chapter 11, Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, and then the Pharisees plot to kill Jesus. In John chapter 12, Mary anoints Jesus with a whole bottle of perfume, and Jesus enters Jerusalem riding on a donkey. John chapter 13, Jesus washes his disciples' feet. He predicts Judas's betrayal, and then he also predicts Peter's denial of him. John chapter 14, Jesus says that he is the only way to the Father, and again, he promises the Holy Spirit to us as believers. In John chapter 15, Jesus says that he is the vine and we are the branches. In John chapter 16, Jesus talks more about the Holy Spirit, and he also says that the sadness that comes from his death will eventually turn to joy. In John chapter 17, Jesus spends the entire chapter praying for us. John chapter 18, Jesus is betrayed and sentenced to death, and Peter denies Jesus 3 times. John chapter 19, Jesus is crucified on a cross and buried in a tomb. In John chapter 20, Jesus is resurrected from the dead and he appears to his disciples. In John chapter 21, the disciples catch a bunch of fish because Jesus tells them where to throw their net. And Jesus talks to his disciple Peter. Okay, I did that in under 4 minutes. I'm really proud of myself. Hope you all enjoyed that. Go back and keep reviewing this. You all just read through all of this, so I'm glad I got to recap it with you all. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.